Good evening, all of you. I hope you understood how we are going to perform creating a database, creating a table, and inserting some data into the table, and as well as updating the records in a table. So, any doubts in all these operations, whatever we seen in yesterday's class? We seen how to create a database and how to create a table, and after that we seen inserting records. We inserted 3 records. Next, actually we created a database for book example. We created a database and we created a table. We inserted few records. We updated it. Any doubts? Please let me know in the chat box. Please respond in the chat box. Have you practiced? Yes or no? If you practiced, definitely I think you may get some doubts. Or if you didn't get any doubt also, if you practiced, I told you you may practice with some other applications like employee database you may create, or you may create some student database, or you may create some other databases, right? So anybody tried, please respond in the chat box. Have you tried this example or some other example? Have you tried it or not? If you tried, what are the difficulties you may observe? Or if you no one is responding, please respond. I'm waiting for your response actually. If you respond, then only I can understand, because already I told you so many times, this is one of the important topic if you are going to work on any Python project tomorrow. Not only for your BTech or okay, in your graduation or in your diploma. Tomorrow, if you are working in any company, definitely you need to use this type of operations on table, because if you are doing any project, means definitely that is having some database and that is having some tables. In the table, you need to manipulate the data. So nobody is responded. So what is the meaning of that? No one practiced or are not interested to respond. I think you are able to send messages, right? Yes. I told you it is not like your core Python. If you are going to practice, then only you can understand. What is the status? Because if you didn't practice, you may understand and you may feel like you are getting everything. But unless if you practice, then only you need to know what is happening. Okay, for listening, it's very simple. But once you practice with the different applications, then only you can understand. Have you practiced yes or no? At least you respond. Have you practiced yes or no? Not practiced. Okay. Okay, if practiced, okay, any doubts? If anyone practiced it, any doubts? Do we have any doubts? But please spend some time for this and you try to practice with different applications. Okay, spend some time and practice with different applications. Not only the examples what we are covering in the class. You may practice other examples, other applications, so that you can understand what is happening. Okay. So anyway, I'll continue with yesterday's topic where we stopped. So we are talking about operations in a table. Yesterday we discussed about in Cruid operations. We discussed about create, insert, update. So now we'll see. So now we'll see the remaining operations like okay. So first, next operation is read operation, or we can say retrieve operation. Read or retrieve, reading the data, reading the data from table. So this is also, we can call it as reading data from table, also known as retrieve operation. This is also known as already I given some example for this read operation. Checking your result is nothing but simple example for read or retrieve. You are going to check your result by giving your hall ticket number, right? So that is a simple example of read or retrieve. So we are unable to modify, just we can uh, get the result, or just we can retrieve the result, right? So how can we do that? Anyone remembered the steps for doing these operations? Before going to this retrieve operation, let me show you the data what we have in our table. Yesterday we worked with some database. Database is books database. In books database, we created a table. The table name is book one. This is what we created in yesterday's class. Okay. Database we created is books.db. In books.db database, the table name is book one. In book one, we inserted 3 records. Okay. Java, CPP, HTML. We inserted 3 books. Okay. Of course, we updated a price also. But this is the data what we have in our table. Now we need to perform the retrieve operation, or we need to perform the select. Okay, we need to perform the retrieve operation. So how we are going to perform this retrieve operation, or how we are going to retrieve the data from a table? Okay, already we know that to get the data, from a table, we need to write select a query. Select a query. Okay. Yesterday already we written different queries for doing different types of operations. We written create query for creating a table, and we written some insert query for insertion, and we written some update query for doing some updation. And similarly, now we need to write select. Okay, the select query is going to retrieve the data from the database. Okay, so in this select, actually, okay, we can get the data at a time, or we can fetch one by one also. Let me explain the things. But before going to this, let me write this program. So here our objective is the task is uh, retrieve the data from books book one table. Already we have this book one table here. Yesterday we created this book one table, and this book one table is there in books.db database. So from book one table, we need to retrieve the data from book one table. Okay. So now let me write this program how this is going to be executed. The same similar steps what we written yesterday. Same steps, retrieving, retrieving data from table. Table is book one table. So we can import SQLite 3. So now I need to connect it to database. So database DB is equals to SQLite 3 dot connect. For which database we need to connect? We need to connect to books.db. Already yesterday I told you this connect is a method which is available in SQLite 3 module. The purpose of this connect method is we need to create a database if it is not available, or we need to connect it to database if it is already. Now, if you see here already this database is available here. If you see here, this database is already created. Yesterday we created. Okay, because we used commit command in yesterday's class. That is the reason why all these details are stored permanently. Okay. Yesterday we created a table, we created database, we created some records, we inserted some records. But how these records are going to be stored permanently? The reason is, I told you the reason we need to use the commit command if you want to store the data permanently. So now this data will be stored permanently if after some days also if you want to check, the data will be there, right? So this is the purpose of the commit. We don't use commit, then the data is not going to be stored permanently in your database. Okay, so now I am going to connect it to this database books.db. I'm going to connect it to this database books.db. And in this books.db, now I can write some query here. I can write a query. I can create a cursor object first. Cursor is equals to db.connect. db.cursor. Cursor. And now cursor.execute. Cursor.execute. What I need to execute? I need to execute a query. What is the query? The query is select star from book 1. So this is a query we need to execute. Select a star from book 1. Okay. So now once we executed, now I'm going to write this. What is the meaning of this? I'll explain in few minutes. Because once you execute this query, what will happen is we are going to get the entire table. Okay. But how we are going to manage that entire table in your output? We are going to get entire table. But how we are going to display this table in Python environment? Because here we want to see the output, right? So how can we see this output? So we can. That's why we are going to use some while okay, while true. So I'm going to store every record. REC record is equals to cursor dot fetch one. So this is actually one of the function used to fetch one by one record. So I'll explain this method. This is very important method. So what is the meaning of this method? I'll explain. Fetch one means if there is a record, for example, sometimes what will happen? Sometimes the table may not have any records. Let's say a table is empty table. So if there is an empty table, definitely we don't have any records in that. So that's why I'm going to use this while loop. What is the purpose of this while loop? While loop is very simple. It is used to check, is there any record available in the table or not? If there is any record available in the table, then it is going to return always always it is going to print that record. Okay. If there is no record available, then we need to stop it. Okay. If record is equals to none, none means if there are no records, then simply what I'll do, I can break. Okay. And finally, I need to print that record. Print are easy. Okay. Print record, and finally, I need to close this connection db.close. Okay. So this is the program to retrieve the data from your table. So you may have some doubt what this fetch one is going to do. I'll write the description here. This fetch one is nothing but it is going to fetch. Fetch means get or retrieve. Fetch next to record. Next to record. Fetch means retrieve or get. Okay, from the table. Okay, sometimes instead of this fetch one, I may use fetch all also. What is the meaning of fetch all? Fetch all means it's going to retrieve all the records at a time. Okay, once this is done, then we can use that method also. We have two methods in select. Okay, in displaying a table. Okay, retrieve the data from book table. So here, while retrieving, the data can be displayed using two methods. What are the two methods? First method is fetch one. Fetch one. This is one method. What this method is going to do? This fetch one. This method is going to. It's going to use. It will use loop. Iterate every record. Iterate every record in your table. Every record in the table. And sometimes we may use fetch all. Okay, what is the meaning of this fetch all? Fetch all is the purpose of this fetch all is it's going to return. It will return list of tuples. List of tuples means all the entries in your table. List of tuples, and every tuple is considered as a record. As a record. So this is the purpose of these two methods. Okay. So I can use either fetch one or I can use either fetch all. Fetch one means reading one by one record. For example, if the records are over, means if you reach to the last record. For example, in this case, first I'll fetch first record, next to second record, third record. Once I reach to third record and I don't have any records in my table. Okay. So that when I don't have any records in my table, then it's going to return true. Record is equals to none will becomes true. So when this will return true, break. Break means the program is going to be stopped. So any doubts in this? Any doubts in select query and retrieving and displaying the records one by one using fetch one method? Any doubts? Please respond if you have any doubts or if you don't have any doubts also. If you have any doubts, you can post your doubt in chat box. If you don't have any doubts, just type no doubts in the chat box. If you are sitting idle, I don't know what is your response. Whether you are listening or not also, I don't know. Okay. All right. So let me execute this program first. Select 1.py. Okay. Now see here. What is the output we got? 100 Java 1000 is the first record. 200 CPP 1500 is the second record. 300 HTML 2500 is the third record. Now you can check here whether it is having same records or not in your table. This is a database table, right? So now you can see here whether it is having same table or not. Okay, this is the database table in the back end, and this is the table or the data retrieved by your program. Okay, so this is the data retrieved by your program, and this is your database table. So any doubts? I hope you understood, right? How is explain again fetch? Yeah, fetch one. Fetch one means fetch one is very simple. I'll explain with one more example. For example, uh, your class teacher is asking you people to leave. Okay, to leave from your classroom. So you can leave from your classroom in two ways, right? One way is, okay, one student is going to leave from a single door. One student is going to leave from a single door. This is nothing but one by one student is going out. And other way is nothing but fetch all the students can leave from for example, let's say your classroom is having okay, four exit points. So parallelly all the students can leave. You don't need to wait for someone, right? If you have only one exit point, then you can exit only through that door. So that's why that is known as fetch one. Fetch one means one by one. First student who is sitting in first bench is going to leave first. Next, okay, second bench student. Like that, one by one only they are going to leave. What is fetch all? Fetch all means I can retrieve all the tables. I can retrieve all the entries from a table and I can display it. Fetch one means printing one by one, checking one by one. If there is next to record, then only I can go to display. If there is no record available, then simply I can write break. Break means when all your records are over or when the table is empty. This record is equals to none is going to be when this condition will become true. When this condition will become true, in which scenario this condition will become true? Anyone tell me in which scenario this condition will become true? If record is equals to none, in which case the condition is going to become true? In which case that is true? Okay, this I written in if right. So when this record is equals to none will become true. What is the scenario? When all records are executed. Yeah, when all records are over, means when you reach the last record, your table is having 100 records. Let's say your table is having 100 records. You displayed 99 records and now you are in 100th record. So that is the case. Your that if condition record is equals to none will become true. And other case is when there is no data also, right? Your table is empty. When your table is empty, then also the record is equals to none will become true. So we have two scenarios. In the two scenarios, your this if condition is going to become true, right? So this is about fetch one. Any doubts so far in fetch one? Fetch one means retrieving one by one. That's it. Okay. Now we need to see how this fetch all is going to work. So this is nothing but fetch one, and let me write example here itself. Example. Now we need to work with fetch all. Retrieving data from book one table. Here I can write fetch all. Okay, so now instead of this fetch one, simply I can write fetch all. Fetch all, and I don't need to write all these things because we are fetching, we are getting all the records. Let me write simple for loop. I can write for I in record. For I in record, simply I can print I. For I in record, simply I can print I. Okay, so this is, let me check whether it will work or not. Select 2 dot py. Okay, so this is the output of this program. Okay, so first way is fetch one. If you see, outputs are same, but the way how we are going to retrieve the data is different. In the first method, we are retrieving the data using fetch one method. So in the first method, this is first record, and this is second record, and this is third record. We are going to retrieve the data one by one record. Okay, so this record will be retrieved first, next this record, and next this record. Okay, but if you see this program, in this program, entire this 3 records are going to be retrieved at a time. Okay, there's a difference between fetch one and fetch all. Any doubts? This is an example for fetch all. Any doubts so far? Next, we are talking about how the data is retrieved from a table. This is one of the important Cruid operation. Okay, so create, read. Second one is read or retrieve. Create, retrieve. So we are talking about retrieve operation, right? So next operation we'll talk about delete operation. What is the meaning of delete? Already we seen this in SQLite database. In back end, we seen how this delete is going to work. But now we are not writing anything in back end. Instead, we are writing some program. Using that program, we are going to delete some record. Right? Delete is nothing but the primary purpose of delete is to delete a record from the table. Okay, so we need, if you want to delete some record from a table, we need to delete. What is the syntax? I hope all of you remembered the syntax is delete from table name, where condition. Of course, this condition is optional. Already I told you what is this condition, why we need to write this condition. If you don't write the condition, then all the records from the table is going to be deleted. That's why we need to write some condition. Yesterday, I showed you how update is going to work. Okay, so in update also same. If I don't write any condition, then all the values in the table are going to be modified. Similarly, here also in delete also we need to write the condition. Okay, now same program. the same program, instead of this select a query, I can use this delete data from book one table. Okay. So instead of this select a query, I can write simply delete it. So books.db select a star. Instead of select a query, I can write something like delete from book one. Now I can write some condition where so now if you see here, your table is having these 3 entries in the database, right? Now I need to delete this third record. Okay, delete from book one where book ID is equals to 300. I need to delete this third record. So what is the book ID of this third record? 300. So I'll write the same here. Delete from book one where book ID is equals to 300. Book ID is equals to 300. Okay. So once we delete this, then simply we can write print record deleted successfully. Deleted successfully. Okay. So just I'm going to use this delete query to delete a record, and I'll execute this delete query. And after that, just I'm going to give some statement to the user, like this data, this table is the record from this table is deleted. I'm going to execute this. Yeah, if you see here, we are going to got this statement, the record deleted successfully. So this is a statement what we have written. We got the statement in output. So now we can check whether this deleted record is deleted or not. Now if you see here, this record is there. Just I refresh. We'll refresh 1 minute. Delete from book one, where book ID is equals to 300. Okay, so I'm not going to use this commit. Cursor dot commit. I need to save these changes in a database. That's why I need to use this commit also. So delete from table name where okay, some query. After that, I need to write this db dot commit. db dot commit. Connect delete from forum where cursor is equals to sorry zero. Okay. Run this. Got deleted successfully. And I'll open this database. So now see here that the record is deleted. 300 record is deleted, right? So that's why it's better to reopen your database when you are going to perform this delete operation, better to reopen or restart your database, so that you can easily identify the effect. If you didn't restart, okay, so you will find the record in the table. Okay, so this is about delete, and already we know if you don't write any condition in the query, here I written some condition. If I don't write any condition like this, if I didn't use this condition in the program, then I may get entire table data is going to be deleted. Only the table structure, the table structure will be there, but entire data from the table is going to be deleted. So that's why we need to write the condition. And already yesterday I told you how we are going to write the condition. Mostly we are going to write the condition based on the primary key, right? Or unique key. Yesterday somebody written something like, when I want to update the price of a book, okay, somebody has given answer like, we can update the price of a book based on the name of the book. Yes, we can do based on the name also, but we can, in general, we can use the primary key or unique key, and based on unique key only we need to write the conditions. Here also same, whether it is update operation, whether it is delete operation. Okay, so in general we are going to follow the primary key or unique key, so that there are no okay, collisions in your table. Okay, so this is about delete operation. So any doubts? So now, so far what we completed is, we seen how the database will be created in SQLite database in backend. Manually we did in our previous classes. Manually we updated, manually we inserted, manually we okay, we written some queries. And now what we did here is, we are doing everything from database creation, table creation, record insertion, everything we are doing through program. Okay, now our next task is, we need to use this program, and I have some form, let's say registration form. In registration form, I'll give my details. So when I give my details in registration form, when I click on some button like submit, okay, I'm going to execute some program. That program is automatically will store your all the details, whatever you entered in your registration form, in the database. So now, whatever the program we written so far is going to do the job. What is the job? It's going to connect your front end with your back end. Front end is nothing but your form elements, form. Okay, by using tkinter, I can create a small registration form. In registration form, I can ask some first name, last name, date of birth, mobile number, email ID. When I click on submit button, your first name, your last name, your mobile number, email ID should be stored in a table. Okay, so how we are going to implement it? Just simply whatever the programs we seen so far, we'll use the same type of Python program. That program is going to do the job. Okay, so the it may be insertion, or it may be deletion, it may be update, it may be creation, whatever we want as per our application requirement, we are going to perform this. Okay, that is our next topic, and we'll see with one or two simple applications, means small projects, so that you can understand everything. What is database, how database is working, okay, how we are going to manipulate the data from the front end, okay, what is happening, and how we are going to write some program to do this database operations. All these things you can easily understand, right? So if you have any doubts, please let me know in the chat box. Any doubts? everyone, please practice all the programs, all the operations, including okay, backend activity, whatever we seen in our previous class.